Hello everybody. Today I wanted to go over all of the colors that you can get when you get a ball python or when you breed your own ball python, at least that we know of as of yet. Now I'm not going to start talking about color theory here, but it's thought that the 5 primary colors are white and black just because they're kind of their own thing. Then it's red, blue, and yellow. The other colors you can get by mixing any of those colors basically, and that's why those ones are the primary ones. In the end, we're going to be talking about 10 different colors here, and we're going to talk about, can you get a ball python in that color, and does it really have that color? First off would be white, and yes, it's actually more common than you'd think. When I say white ball python, a lot of people think of the bells or the ivories or the super fires, but white exists even on your normals, their bellies. There's usually a lot of white flaming coming up on the sides and around certain parts of their pattern, but white also exists in a lot of other morphs, notably pied, obviously. A lot of whites come in on that. In albino, although usually albino changes with age, when they're born, they're usually a white and yellow snake with red eyes. Exantic, obviously you have some whites on there. Sometimes it's a little more gray, and again, they change with age too, but white is not uncommon, and it's not just in bells, ivories, and pieds. You can find white in almost every single ball python, at least on little bits of it. Also, I'm going to include gray when we're talking about white here. So again, Exantic, you can get a kind of a brownish gray in bamboo. There's a lot of other morphs out there that you can get grays from, but grays really are a hue of white. White would be considered in a spectrum of its own, with our next color, which of course would be black, a very common color. It's real easy to just say, what about the all black snake? That would probably be best achieved by getting the super black pastel. A lot of people have tried to find other combinations to get black or very dark snakes because of the kinking issues with super black pastel. A lot of people have experimented with using one copy of the black pastel and then cinnamon or mahogany, but the blackest snake I've seen is super black pastel. It's just unfortunate it has those issues. But even your normals have black in them. Suma, Exantic, again, because can be a black and white snake. Even lesser known genes like Raven, there's a lot of genetics that you can achieve the color black with. Moving on to the actual colors of the rainbow, and we're gonna start with red. Red has been chased. We've danced with the very edges of red, but a true fire truck red, it doesn't exist. You can get red eyes on a ball python, but that's as red as you're gonna get is in your albinos and such like that. You can get to a rusty red. That is how I would describe it. And this rusty color is a hue of red. So by definition, technically you do have a red ball python, but it's not the red you're thinking. Red stripe, red head, these help to bring in these colors, especially when mixed with a lot of different other genes like cypress and clown and such like that. You start to see this like a rusty nail. That is what they kind of look like along those patterns. And it's really cool. It's really nice, but it's not a actual true red. A true red is the holy grail of ball python colors. Hasn't happened. I don't know if it will happen. I imagine you're not gonna get a fire truck red, but maybe you get a closer hue of red or something like that at some point someday, and that ball python will be probably unattainable for most of us for quite some time. Maybe you do it by line breeding. Nobody really talks about it because genetics in ball pythons are so defined by codoms and recessives and such like that, but there are polygenic traits to ball pythons in terms of maybe even their size and stuff like that they pass on. You get a pastel that just holds its yellows a little more, or there's the green pastels, which maybe we'll get into here in a bit. There's a lot of polygenic morphs that maybe can push the needle a little closer to what I would call a true red. But right now what we really are achieving is stuff in the family of reds. The next primary color would be yellow, and yes, there are plenty of yellow snakes. Dark yellow, light yellow, medium yellow, take your pick. Yellow ball pythons even exist in the normals. You can find snakes that are a little bit more yellow. Obviously, the most common morph probably, pastel, it's a yellow snake. Enchi can even bring in some yellows when combined with other genes. Yellow belly, obviously. Banana, obviously a very yellow snake. Albino, yellow is not a difficult color to achieve in and of itself. To get it nice and clean, probably takes a little bit more work and how you're layering your genetics and stuff like that. But yellow is not a uncommon color, and it's one of the most represented colors for ball pythons in all of its shades. It does very, very nice. You see a lot of yellow ball pythons and they look great, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of them. Blue is our next color, and no, there are no blue ball pythons. The closest you could technically get is a hue of blue, like a blue-gray, like the super lories, lavenders. Technically the eyes of a blue-eyed leucistic, bamboos, they have blue eyes, but blue is a unicorn. And unlike red, which I think has the at least potential to come within play at some point, I don't think anything close to a real blue outside of those blue-grays could really come forth. The blue-grays are nice though. I like gray as a color. It's very, very nice. Lavender, again, lavender is kind of in the bluish family because that's a mixture between a couple different colors and whatnot, blue being one of them. So true blue, no, but bluish family, sure. So that would be our core colors, so to speak. Every single color after this can be created by combining two of those other colors, basically. So our first of the secondary colors would be orange. Orange is a beautiful color and might arguably be one of the most beautiful colors in ball pythons, especially when done right. There is a large representation of this in ball pythons. Orange stream, super orange stream. You can find them on your bananas and coral glows. Pied, even at the edge of a lot of the pied pattern, you have this orange outline I've noticed. Enchi brings in a lot of oranges, especially when, again, you layer another copy on it for super Enchi. And again, those rusty reds that I was mentioning earlier, they're really closer to orange. They're just a little bit closer to that needle for red than the other oranges. You get a lot of bright, very bold oranges when you do things like orange dream and super orange dream especially. With these rusty ones, they're a little bit closer to red, but they're really an orange. All the red ball pythons, they're really just orange. Next up would be purple. Purple ball pythons, right? Not really. You can get some lavenders, Mystic Potions, obviously the lavenders, candy ball pythons, Candino, your banana and coral glow. Again, it's been on our list quite a few times. There's a reason why those are so popular. Purple is a member of both the red and the blue family. And I said earlier, you can't get a red ball python and you can't get a blue ball python, not true colors of them anyway. So how would you possibly achieve a purple ball python? I actually think it's technically more possible and at least more representative of purple than of blue and red, especially when you layer a lot of other genes on top of it. I saw a great example of a cinnamon banana leopard. They create these almost bruising like colors. I know bruises sound gross, but it's a really good example in my mind, and it's more of like a purpley lavender color, but that one was pretty deep, kind of a purplish hue. Even like our new monarch, those mahoganies are kind of a mostly brown, but they do bring in some hues of purple in many cases, which adds to that deep mystique that the monarchs have for me. You can't get a pure purple, like a royal purple. There's nothing that's been that, but you can get some stuff that is, in my opinion, pretty well representative of the purple family of colors, much more so than what creates the color of purple than red and blue. Next up would be green. Green is created by combining blue and yellow together. A lot of people who are not as well versed in ball pythons or snakes in general, the most common thought when you think of a snake probably is a green snake. There really is no greens in ball pythons, however. Pastel eyes are, I believe, often, if not always, green. There are morphs out there, which, to be completely honest with you, I have not really studied up on this one. I'm not sure if it's just a polygenic version of hypo, but the green ghost has a ghostly green hue to it. There's also green pastel, which I talked about earlier. It is just a more greenish look to the pastel color, and yellow and green are obviously related, so you get a lot of these yellowy colors that essentially just pull in more greens just a hair. I wish that I could recall the morph. It was literally at our last show, but I think it was like Mystic and Banana. This snake straight up looked like it had moss growing on its back dorsal stripe. A light green for sure, but unmistakably green. I was very busy, so I didn't think to take a picture or a video at the time. If someone can show us what that morph was, much appreciated, but I seen it with my own eyes. You can get greens in a ball python. It's just not a dominant green. You certainly can't get an all green snake, but it is a color that's somewhat slightly at play. Moving on to colors that aren't necessarily secondary colors, but are very popular and well-known colors, we're gonna start with pink. Again, no true pink ball pythons. Those lavenders are kind of in that family. So you could argue that those are kind of a pinkish ball python. But lavenders and mystic potions, they do have some pinkish hues to them. So that's about as close as you're gonna get. But a true pink ball python, that you're gonna have to look to other species of snake for. And finally, would be probably one of the more common colors, brown. Brown is technically a shade of orange, which means that it's a red and yellow family of colors. This is a very, very common color, but it's not represented equally at all. It is on a good portion of ball pythons. Again, your normals probably have it, but you can get some really nice browns out of a lot of different morphs as well. Mahogany, chocolate, Wookie, even as I said earlier, our new monarch, that has a very nice color of brown to it. Most people, when they think of brown, probably don't think very positively, but there are a lot of brown colors that are very gorgeous. It's just that it seems the more negative ones come to mind first. Obviously the browns on your chocolates and mahoganies and monarchs, they're very bold and beautiful. So you can work with a lot of absolutely beautiful browns in your ball pythons. If you want to see all of the colors of the rainbow represented on reptiles, you can check out our full walkthrough of the 2023 NARBC show right here.